Hello my friends, welcome back. Painting with Harold Weeks. Let me catch you up right now where we're at. We got a 16 by 20 canvas. Already got our thin coat, even thin coat of liquid white applied. The colors we're going to use in this painting today: titanium white, phthalo blue, mountain mix, alizarin crimson, dark sienna, Van Dyke brown, sap green, cad yellow, yellow ochre, Indian yellow, and bright red. Now, before we get started, I got to share something with you. I have tried to get a little better at this recording deal, and I have failed a couple times. So my wife and I have had a discussion. She seems to think I'm going to have to be in the shot. Now, I've tried everything I can to stay out of the shot as far as my face and all goes. I don't figure y'all care too much about seeing me, but anyway, with that said, if this video don't work out, then in the future, I guess you may just have to stare at my ugly mug, and well, we'll deal with that when that time gets here. If you clicked on the thumbnail, you already know what I'm painting. As I said here, I have an idea, but I don't know how it's going to turn out. But if you clicked on that thumbnail, apparently I was happy enough with it to share it. And basically what I want to do when I sit here today is, my idea was, I wanted to show you another use for the mountain mixture color, other than just doing mountains with it. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into this, and hopefully it all works out. Thank y'all so much for joining me. As always, like, subscribe, and share. Apparently that's the thing that you need on YouTube to advance for other people to see you, is like, subscribe, and share, comment. Anyway, we're going to go right into, with a 2-inch brush, first thing we're going to do is very, very lightly tap. Get our brush evenly loaded up with some phthalo blue. And just not a lot of paint, just a little across the bristles. We'll start in the corner. We'll work our way across the top. And as always, we want our corners a little darker, and we want our top a little darker. And at the same time, as we work down, we want to save ourselves some light areas in here. If you remember, I said that in one of the videos I did earlier, when I first started, I could not buy a light spot in the sky. I would always forget to do that. And finally one day, I guess it just clicked to me that what I was going to have to do to remind myself of different things was to just say it to myself while I was painting. And I'd say, okay, light spots. Light spots. You gotta leave some light spots. And I think after a little while of painting, I think what happens is, I think you develop a muscle memory, almost like anything, like playing guitar, or any, certain exercises. You'll develop a kind of a muscle memory, and it'll just start happening. And as you can see, we're starting out dark and getting light as we work toward the horizon. And that's exactly what we want to do. And we want our dark spots and we want our light spots to remain in the sky. We just want to be lighter toward the horizon. And basically what happens is when you do the light spots and the dark spots in the sky, is your sky takes on a motion, like it's movement, like it's alive. Whereas if you came up here and just painted a solid blue, even though that solid blue would be lighter here at the bottom, it wouldn't have any movement. It'd be just kind of dull looking. But now with that said, we're going to go into our phthalo blue again. This time we're going to go to the bottom of the canvas and work up. We're going to come across in even, straight as we can be. Just keep it as straight as you can and pull in and leave yourself a space between your sky and your water. And I say water, now this don't always have to be water. I tried to explain that in one of the videos and I think I messed it up. Whenever you paint the blue here, it's a dark color. You know, phthalo blue it's a pretty blue. And it's dark. It's not as dark as Prussian blue, but it's dark enough that you can use it. Say you wanted to change your mind down here and turn this into snow, you could do it. You can paint over it with a brown or green. Any of your dark colors, you can come right in there on top of this blue and you can still maintain a dark color. But if you decide that you're going to keep it water, well, blue's always a good choice. And sometimes you can add a little green in with it to kind of give yourself a green look to your water. But if you decide you're going to leave it water, kind of leave yourself an opening in the middle. And what that opening will do for you is it'll create like a little sheen across the water. Like you got a little light shining across it. And then a lot of times you're going to close the bottom in anyway with trees or whatever. You know, if you want to hold the water into your painting. So if you come across here and you end up making this solid blue at the bottom, it's not a crime. The paint police are not going to show up and arrest you. It's perfectly okay to do that. But then you want to come in and we're going to say one of my favorite terms right now. We're going to knock out a little paint. We're going to knock it out. And let's knock it out right there. That's when I say knock it out, that's what I mean. So we knocked out some paint. You can see how much paint comes out when you do that. It's a significant amount. So I mean, it really helps. I'm going to come from the top now. I'm going to come down. Now you can apply a little pressure here. You don't have to apply a ton of pressure, but you can see for yourself what's happening here. And if you see to where it looks like you're going to take out your sheen of water we talked about, lighten up. If it looks like it's going to stay, then by all means just apply that same pressure. And the more you go, the better it'll get. Because the one thing you don't want to do is bring a lot of dark color towards your horizon. And as long as you're not doing that, you're okay. You want to keep your dark as close to the bottom as possible. Because what we're trying to do is create an illusion. The majority of painting is an illusion. Now, if we'll take a look at what we've done, just from muscle memory, basically, is we've got our corners, all four of them are dark, and we've got a light spot and horizon. So, with that said, we'll hang on to that brush for a second. We'll go up and we'll make some clouds today. I think the kind of clouds we're going to make today will be the kind of clouds that we're going to take this 1-inch brush And we're just going to tap straight down into the paint. That's all we're going to do. Just keeping it standing straight up and just tapping it right into the paint. And that's all we did. And we got, I don't know if you can see that or not, but we got a pretty decent amount of paint on it. And we'll come up in our sky. I guess I should tell you what I'm trying to do here. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take that liquid white and I'm going to try, I'm so sorry, not liquid white, that mountain mix. And I'm going to try to put a dark area in here. And then I'm going to try to lighten that dark area up over here. And I'm hoping what happens is it'll create the effect of, well, I need to blend my sky out too. It'll create the effect of sunlight coming through here, shining on this side with the darkness in front. And my hope today with this little painting, not only should it be real pretty to look at, it will kind of show you the importance of dark in a painting. Now highlights are very important. Highlights are what gives you your vivid little colors and makes everything real pretty. But darks are what gives you your depth. And I just kind of want to show you that today in something I think will be pretty if it works out. I think it'll be a pretty little painting. Now as far as the clouds go, we wanted this side to be lighter and we wanted this side to be darker. So we don't want to put a lot of white paint over here that we're going to bring dark paint into because it'll gray it up, and that's not what we want. So let's say as far as clouds, let's say we come from the horizon and just tap up, so about like that, and just keep them down around the horizon as much as possible, and just kind of bring him up like that. And then we will take our brush, and don't forget this brush has blue in it, but it won't matter at this point what we're doing because there's a lot of white here. And we're just going to come in and gently blend out the bottom toward the horizon, and then we're going to very gently fluff it up, very gently, just kind of set it in. And that cloud will look like it's coming up off the horizon. Then we're going to go back, tap straight down into our titanium white again. Now this titanium white paint I use is thick. And you really need a thick paint for this, because if you got a real like mayonnaise consistency type paint, it's gonna pull, it's gonna drag. You want a paint that's gonna stay still. So for this one, we'll come out a little further, but even at that, we'll still stay away from this area, and we'll just kind of tap us in a cloud that comes down. Pick up some more paint as you go. You can feel it start running out on your brush, and you can just bring it down at an angle. And then we'll take our 2-inch brush again. We'll do the same thing, very softly, blend out the bottom with just the corner of the brush. Keep your brush moving. That's the important thing too. Always keep your brush moving when you're making the clouds and when you're blending the clouds. Keep that brush moving. And what that does is it prevents you from staying in one spot too long and getting those cotton ball effects. And I'm not saying that cotton balls don't look like the clouds, because sometimes they do. But in these clouds today, we want them to have body to them, a little fullness for this particular paint. And then we'll come in one more time, load that brush up the same way, tap it straight into the bristles. We'll come in just at the top here, and we'll keep, hopefully you can see how I'm doing this. I'm keeping the majority of the paint, the whitest of the paint, at the top of the cloud. And then once that paint's gone, I'll come back under it and just touch a couple times for the body. Just to, when I say the body, I mean just to thicken it up a little. Like right here, I'll show you. You know, just enough to just kind of thicken it up. Excuse me. And when you do that, it's not creating you any problems, because when you come back up with the corner of your 2-inch brush to blend it out, it'll just blend right out. And anytime you blend the bottom of these clouds out, what they do is it kind of pulls a little of that blue color in, and it gives it almost gives it a shadowy effect, and sets itself into the sky. And then very, very lightly, just like that, you've created a beautiful sky with the clouds and the blue with the dark, and it just looks like movement up there now. Now, we will knock out some watercolor out of this 2-inch brush, because at this point we're fixing to go into the mountain mixture color, and it's so dark that it'll take over the majority of this. As you can see, we've knocked a good bit of the color out. Now we're going to go right into the mountain mixture color, and we're just going to go just like we were loading it for the clouds. Here, let me see if I can get this out to show you. I hate for y'all not to be able to see my palette. Okay, I think it's in the shot there. I'm going straight in to my color, just like that. Straight in. You can see how my brush is standing up, like if we were doing it flat on the. Now I have a alizarin crimson set up on my palette beside it, and if that alizarin crimson gets in there, I won't cry about it. I promise you, I will not cry about it, because all that's going to do is just throw in a little lavender looking color here and there. But now I'm going to show you the reason I did the straight up loading of the brush technique. Because believe it or not, how you load your brush in this style of painting will determine a lot about how your paint looks. Now, that is so important. There's different ways to load your brush to get different effects. And as we go along, I hope I can show you some of those. But anyway, for this effect, what I wanted to do, you see how I got it loaded? I don't have any dog paws, or I didn't pull it flat, you know, to get a sharp point. That brush looks just like if you were going to start painting with it. The only difference is it has paint on it. That's it. I want to come up here, and I don't want to go all the way off the canvas here, but right here I just want to lay it up here and just start working myself up at an angle and create. See how I did that? I went up, back down, back up. And what that did was, you know, just gives me a shape across there. That, you know, it's not everything's not the same height kind of shape. As soon as I did that, or as soon as I do that, I'm going back into my brush and I'm going to load it the same way. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm just going to continue doing that. And I'm going to stay in that same framework. We'll call this the framework of our trees. And I'm staying in this same part. I'm not going back over trying to make nothing new. All of this is remaining the same. And we want to keep our paint loaded into our brush because we want this dark. And the amount of pressure I'm using right here it's not real heavy, but it's enough that it's putting that paint up here. Now you can see where it's picking up that liquid white under it, and it's trying to lighten it down some. And it's going to try that, and that's fine. You know, let it try it. We're in control. We haven't lost control yet. The thing of it is, if you're going to have light right now, if you're going to have any light spots at all up here, you want those light spots to be at the top. I don't really want any because, like I said, this it's not really a lesson. I hate to call it a lesson, but this idea was to show you how important dark is, and that's what I want to do in this painting. I want to show you how important using a dark color is. Now remember I said what I wanted to do was bring some trees over and around. So when we come around about right here, things will start getting lighter as we work up. We're going to maintain darkness here. But before we do that, we want to come over here and just kind of tap down with some more dark color. And this is going to end up being reflection when we get to that far. If we keep it water, if it ends up not being reflection, it'll end up being, we'll put a path in, or we'll do something different. But with that being said, we want to come back up here and create us a little ridge, like this is our horizon, and our horizon comes across. Now, when it starts getting into that white that we put up here for the clouds, you can see it start getting lighter already. But then we'll go and we'll pull up, and we'll put a little more paint on our brush, and we'll start pulling up into the sky and just off the canvas over here with trees. And you can tell this side is already lighter. Because there was a lot of white paint over here. So this side, of course, was going to be lighter. And we have enough light color here that it's going to, I think it's going to work out. I think there's plenty of light. And then over here, I said this was going to be water. So what we'll do is we'll go back into our dark color one more time, and we'll tap it on the brush, and we'll come in and we'll create us a line across here. And we'll pull this straight down for now. Straight down. And it's very important that you stay straight. Very important. Even if you have to come up here and tap some color in, that's fine, because it kind of matches the texture that you have already. And we'll come over here and we'll do the same thing. We'll lightly pull down. And then as we get over here, we want to start coming down a little further because we got trees up above. And the taller they are above, the longer they need to be in the water. And just like that, we have the beginning of what is supposed to be reflections in our water. And we'll hold on to that brush again for a few minutes. And we'll pick us up a knife. Let's see which knife we got. We got the big knife. And with the big knife, we'll go right into some straight Van Dyke brown. We'll pull it out flat. We'll get that little roll of paint on our knife. We'll come up here and we want to pull our paint at an angle towards the center of the canvas. Now I'm using the line that I made with the brush as a reference line, and right now I'm just maintaining the knife blade on it, and then I'll come back and start pulling down. How much should you pull down? That is a good question, because when I first started watching Bob do this and he'd start pulling this down, I always wondered, well, how far should I pull this down? And as the more I painted, the more I learned that it's really up to you. It depends on how big a bank you want over here. If you want a real steep bank, then pull it down a little further. But if you want just a small bank to give all this some land to sit on, then that's basically all you need. Just something for it to sit on. And then we'll load up again, and we'll do the same thing on the back side. We'll come across. Now keep in mind that this bank back here is going to be a little further away. I don't think it's so far away that you're not going to see it. So we still want to keep it visible, but it's not it don't have to be as pretty, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I've always found that if you got a bank or something that's further away, if you can make it known that that's what it is and it not be pretty, it works out better in the illusion part of it. Now, with that being said, we want to go and pick us up a little white with our Van Dyke brown and a little dark sienna. Probably more white than anything in this. And just get you a light color to work with. This will be your highlights over here. And you just want to come back, kind of like putting snow on a mountain. Just kind of touch and pull. Just touch and pull. And it gives it the illusion of a rocky bank over there. Then come in and you can do your big bank the same way. Just come in and just barely touch, barely pull, and let it take off as much paint as it wants. And just like that, You have a bank on both sides. Then you can clean the paint off of your knife. And then we will go and we will pick up the brush I'm going to use for this. Well, I tell you what, before I pick this brush up, let's do this. Let's go back to that knife and let's flatten that color out we just used as highlight. And let's get us a small roll. And we'll come in here and we're going to start making tree trunks. Now, you put tree trunks wherever you want them. You don't have to have 1,000. You don't have to have 100. There's no set number as to how many you have to have. You put as many as you want. And all we're doing is just touching them. And that's all we did. Now, the ones on this side, remember we got our sun coming through. So this side, we want them a little lighter. So we want to take some more white into that color. And make them a little whiter. And come up. And this side, they'll look like a little more sun's hitting them back here. And there again, you put as many as you want, or as few as you want. There's no written in stone amount. It's just something that'll give you a visual here in a second. Now, we're going to our 1-inch oval brush. Now, if you don't own one of these, and you can't find one, immediately to go out and get, this is just a 1-inch filbert brush, basically is all it is, with a lot more hair in it. So what we want to do is we're going to carry it into the thinner, just a very little. And I'm going to go into my sap green. I need to show you how to load this brush. It is important. We're going to go into our sap green. And when you're loading this brush, when you pull it through your color, push. Go back and push. And you're getting that little ridge of paint. Go back and push. And the only color I'm going to use right now is that sap green. And you'll see why in a second. But we're going to come up here and we're going to start touching that sap green. Now, it's not going to want to show up real bright. It will show up. You can tell you're doing it. So what you want to do is just come out to the outside edge and create you some leaves that look like they just out here just flailing in the wind, just little individual leaves. And this brush does good for this. I mean, it really does. Because it's a light touch. And you can keep in mind that what you're making here is a lot of trees. So you want to give yourself some shapes in here. You don't want to just come up and just, go to tapping. Once you get to a certain spot and you start taking on, you start taking on individual trees, you want to remember, leave yourself darks. Leave yourself some dark. When you get to your trunks, just dance around your trunk. You don't have to cover the whole trunk up. You want to hit the top and the bottom. You want to stay in front of it in places and behind it in others. But you just want to come up here and keep you an idea of how trees grow. Now you may not even can see that green coming off my brush onto the, but now if you're painting this at home, while you're doing this step, you'll see it. You'll see that green coming off onto your mountain color. I want to keep calling it black, but it's not a true black. It has a lavender hue to it. The story I heard was that Bob used to make this mountain color every time he get ready to paint mountains, and somebody told him one day, you know, you ought to just create a tube of that color and have it on hand when you need it, you know. And I think that's what they did. Now that's what I heard. I can't say that's true or not, but I mean, it would make sense if that is what happened. To me, it would make sense. But all I'm doing is just tapping random tree shapes, and I'll come down about an inch from the top of my bank right there. That's as far down as I want to go. And that may look like a hot mess, but it'll get better in just a second. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to knock some of that color out, some of that sap green. I'll knock it out. Let me get me a t-shirt. Get my wife to make one that says knock it out. Then I'm going to go back into my thinner just a little, just a corner. And then now I'm going to go into my cad yellow, and I'm going to load it the same way. Now the cad yellow will pick up the green that's in the brush. So it's gonna pick it up. I mean, there's no way around it because I didn't clean the brush. Excuse me. Now, to highlight this area right here, my main concern right now is this outside edge in just a little. The inside, I don't want to have a real bright highlighted area in here because our sun is behind these trees. Remember that. So I'm loading my brush just like I showed you a minute ago. I want to get this yellow on it. I'm going to come up and I want to stay on the outside edge first. I want to get as much highlight color out here as I can get first. Now a lot of times in nature, if you're looking at something and the sun's real bright behind it, it'll just appear as a silhouette. It'll appear black. But since this is a painting, I'm going to do this just to give it some color, some oomph. Oomph. There's your word. We're just going to come up here and just stay on that outside all the way around. That's my main concern right now, is that outside edge. And every time you see my hand leave and go back to the canvas, all it's doing is loading up some more color. That's all it's doing. I'm not doing anything special. I'm loading that color into that brush the same way every time. I'll pull it through it and then push back and get that little ridge in front. And that's it. Now, once I do that, and I get that outside edge that's all vivid greenish yellow, I hope you can see that. I really do. I'm going to come back and I'm going to go into my green again. But this time I'm going to pull in some yellow ochre. And, well, that's all I'll pull in right now. I'll just pull in the yellow ochre and the cad yellow. Just those two colors. And I'll load my brush the same way. And I'll come up. And I'll just start at random making my tree shapes. I just want to remember. What do I want to remember? Don't kill all my dark. Just do not kill all the dark. And you can see that a lot of the trunks that we put in are still visible. A lot of them have left. And like I said earlier, the amount of trunks that you want to use, that's entirely up to you. That's a preference. There's no written rule right there. But this little push right here, it's not a movement of the brush like, you know, a stroke. It's to the canvas and off. Now, as you get better at it, you know, the more you paint, the better you get. You'll start getting in a hurry doing it, and it almost looks like you're putting pressure there, but I'm not. There's no pressure in this. That's the purpose of that little bit of thinner, is so to pull off. This is just a slight touch, straight in and straight back off. In fact, you don't want your brush to slide right here, because if it does, it's going to create an effect that looks funky. We're done right here. We're done. We're not going to piddle with it. We've left plenty of dark. We've got trunks showing. We've got our outside edge lit up. And as far as I'm concerned, we're done right there. Now we're going to take and clean this brush. We're going to clean that 1-inch oval brush right into our thinner bucket. We'll push out a lot of the thinner that's there. And then I have a trash can set up over here beside me that's got a little brush beater rack in the bottom of it. That's where I beat the devil out of my color. And then we'll take a paper towel, that thinner that's there, we'll knock it out. We're going to go right into the thinner again, pick us up just a little on the corner of our brush. We're going to go into our Indian yellow. And we're going to pull it out. And we're going to take our titanium white, our clean pile. And we're going to get about that much of it on our knife. And we'll pull it over here beside it. And we're going to work that Indian yellow and white together. And the reason we're going to do that is because Indian yellow and white together make a beautiful sunshine color. It really does. But we're going to load that brush the same way with our Indian yellow and our white. We're going to pull it and then push up and get that little ridge. Now with our Indian yellow and white highlights, we're going to come over here. I hope you can see this. And we're going to start the same way we did over here. We're going to start on this outside edge. Now when you start touching this color to your board, or to your canvas, on these trees, you'll see it. It's going to light them up. Because this color is, this is a sunshine color. And that's all we're doing. We want to keep that. We want to maintain the tree shape, but at the same time, we want our outside edge to be the brightest, the outside end just a little. Because even though our sun is coming from this side, and our sun is hitting this side, lighting it up, the trees are still round. So in here, they're going to get darker back in here regardless. Because they're round, they're trees. Then we'll come across our front here. And we'll keep these. Just remember, they're trees. They have to have light and they have to have dark. So leave them some dark. Because if they don't have dark, they're not going to appear 3D. They're going to just look like little lit up bushes that have no roundness to them at all. No other side to them. We'll come back under that just a little. Keep some paint on that brush. Very gently touch. Very gently touch. And pull straight off. And just like that, we're maintaining sunlight over here. Just by doing that. Once we get to that part of it, we can go in. We can start picking us up a little of our yellow ochre. Bring it over into our sunshine color. And it's gonna bring the value down some. And what it'll do is it'll still be a bright color, but it's going to bring the value down some. It's going to kind of tone it down. We just want to keep these looking like trees, leaving the dark, bringing in the yellow ochre, because the more we come in here and the more we stay into the shadow. Oh boy, I did it again. Now with this color that we have going on up here, we want to introduce it into our water. So what we want to do on our brush is flip your brush over, because you can see how we've been pulling it. You can see how it's kind of that color. This is not rocket science. It's just touch a few places going towards the bank. That's all you got to do. And just put some space in between it. And that's all you're doing. This side, you need green up there. So now we can get this brush dirty with green, because now it don't matter. We've done all our light over there. We're going to do it the same way. I'm just going to come in here and touch with this green color. Just be sure and leave yourself some space, some dark, just like that. We're done. Now then, we're going back to that blue and black brush we used earlier, the big 2-inch brush, the one we used to make this color with. And what we're going to do is very, very lightly come to there and just barely pull down. I mean barely. You're almost dropping that brush. You're not even really holding that brush. you're basically almost dropping it. And then on that side, come in and pull this up. Pull these up. Just like so. And then very lightly come across very lightly, and it starts taking on the effect of water. Very lightly. It'll look like reflections. Then we can wash that brush. Now I had a very little bit of liquid white over here, and I just put it on my knife, and I'm mixing it with my titanium white, and I'm going to bring that color under my little embankment here, and it's going to come across, and I'm going to do a straight white line, keep it as straight as I can. And this is just going to be our water line, just like so. And then we'll go up, get a little more, do the same thing on this one. Now on a water line, it's very important that you keep it as straight as you can. Because if not, it's gonna look like your water's trying to run down a hill. And we know that, or up a hill even, we know water's gonna do what it wants to do. If you get it build up somewhere and you think it's too thick, all you gotta do is just come back and rub it. You're not gonna rub a hole in this canvas. You're not gonna hurt this canvas. Just like that, you've created a nice little water line. You clean that knife off, and you can take you some more color and come in and just a couple places, give yourself some ripples. Now if you get some ripples that are not straight, that appear to be crooked, let me show you how to fix that right quick. Put your knife on it and just work your knife back straight. And it'll make it look like a little fish turned up out here, or maybe a little turtle jumped off of a lily pad, or just like that. You have the impression of little ripples in your water. We can even put a couple in our blue. No sense in leaving it out. Now, this brush right here is a brush that I haven't showed you yet. This brush, there's a guy that's on YouTube now, and he's in a lot of the Facebook groups. His name is David Brancato. And David Brancato is a wealth of information when it comes to painting and mediums and you name it. The man is just, trust me, he is a wealth of information. He's got his own brush line out. And as of right now, I think, and I hate to say this, okay, we had a little glitch there. I was telling you about David's brushes. I think David only has 2 available right now, 2 different sizes, the round and the filbert. Check with him on that if you're interested in brushes, because I'm not 100% sure. But I love these brushes, and I'll show you why. we left us a gap here at the bottom, and we're fixing to work on it now. And I'm going into that green color I used over here, and I'm gonna load that. I'm gonna load that little filbert up. This is a number 2, and I'm just gonna come in, and I'm gonna make little random bush shapes. That's all I'm doing. And I'm going to carry them all the way down to the land. Now, it's important that you leave yourself some darks here. And it's easier with these little brushes for me to get in here in these kind of areas than it is the big 1 inch and these little tight areas, because I don't know, to me it seems like it works better. But we're just coming in here and just tapping us in some different little bush shapes to make it appear like we have little bushes that are growing up along this bank. And we don't want them real bright, because this is that area that was out of the direct sunlight, and that's basically all we're doing. Just come down on your bankman here to kill that straight edge line you have. And then to put a little of that color in the water, just come along the bottom and just touch across here. That's all you gotta do. And just like that, you got like a little row of bushes in front of your trees. On this side, we'll knock a little of this color out. We'll go back into our sunshine color that we were using. That's that white and Indian yellow. And we'll do the same thing over here, but just with that color. We'll put these little bushes all down through here, and we'll put them on our bank. And it'll look as though they lit up in places. And you can play with them as you go along. You know, you can add a little yellow ochre here and there. Try to, change up the color. Because the further you go back, the darker they're going to get anyway. Because you're running out of light back here. And the shape of them is not really important. As long as they appear to be bushes, that's really all you're going for. And then you have a dark area in front of them, and you can come into the water with a little of it across the bottom. And to make it appear as part of the reflection, you take the big 2-inch brush again, very lightly, pull it down, very lightly, and then come across, very lightly, and just like that, we have reflection. Now you could stop right here and you'd have a painting. And the painting would be what we were set out to do. You have a painting that's dark and light with clouds. To me, it just looks like it would be a better painting if we came into our dark color. Now, this is the brush that had all the white and blue on it. We'll knock that color out. Well, let's just wash it. Rather than getting another one dirty, we'll just wash that one right quick. Won't take a second. We'll get all that white out, and I will show you what we're about to do. Excuse me, we'll knock it thinner out. Get this brush dry. Let me get my palette out and show you here how we're going to load it up. I'm going to place that brush flat into the paint and pull it towards me. Pull it towards me. I'm going to keep doing that until this brush develops what's known as a dog paw. And that's when it gets that little rounded look. When it gets that, flip it over. Come up to your canvas and just push it straight in. Straight in. That's all you're doing. Not pushing and pulling. Just pushing straight into the canvas and pulling back off. Now, you can add some more colors in with this. You can add you some phthalo blue. You can add you some crimson. You can add some Van Dyke brown. Just any dark color you want to add at this point is fine. Because that's all you're looking for is a dark type structure. And this structure does not have to be, in fact, it's better if it's not. You don't want it to be one size. You know, give it some different sizes here. Make it taller in spots and lighter in spots. And just mix these mix these colors on the brush, and they'll change colors on the canvas. You'll start picking up different colors along the way. And to me, that's what's pretty in nature, is when you start seeing all these different colors. Because nature does that. Nature has so many different colors that, I mean, God had to be a painter. He really did. Because the colors that you see, they're just so vivid at times. But we're going to come up. Now, the tallest part of this for me is going to be right over here in this corner, and I'll show you why. I want it to be the tallest part. I'm going to come up right above my bank here, and I'm not going to be up here long. I'm just going to go up there, and I'm going to come back. Just like that. And I'm going to work myself on off the canvas over here. But all I wanted to do was put something in front of that bank to push it back. That's all I wanted to do. Now, if you'll see, I did that right here as well. I came up and I pushed that bank back. The purpose of that for me is depth. That's the only reason I did it. Now, we've got all these little bushes that we just came and put in. We know we have sun that's coming through here, so some of the sunlight may hit here and through here, but it's not going to be like here. We want this to maintain the brightest spot in our whole painting. So we're going to knock a lot of this dark color out right now. and we will come back into our Indian yellow that's got the white in it. But we're going to do one thing different this time. This time we're going to add a little green with it. And we're going to pull that brush the same way that we just pulled it. We'll put a little thinner on it. Very little thinner. The same way we just pulled that brush through that dark color, we're going to pull it through the Indian yellow and white with a little green on it. We're going to pull it through the same way. And we're going to come up here. Got our little dog paw. Turn it upside down. And up here we're going to start touching in different random spots. Kind of give yourself a pattern of one and then start working around kind of like in a fan shape. But what your main goal here is to just make it look like a bush. And there again, don't kill all your darks. Don't kill all your dark. Pick you up some more paint. Pick you another one at random. We'll do this one next. We'll come up here and we'll add the same thing to him. Just don't kill all your dark. Leave yourself some dark. Let's put us a red one up there. A bright red one. I bet that'll set this paint on fire. Let's give ourselves a red one right here. Oh yeah. That woke it up. He just walked through the door and let everybody know he was at the party. Hey, we'll go through some yellow ochre, why don't we? Same way. Pull it. Get the dog leg, flip it over, come up and just at random. Just touch it at random. Just don't kill all the dark. If you want to come into some white, pick you up some white. Pick you up some more green. Some more yellow ochre. Right now we're just playing with color. At this point, these bushes are the closest thing in the painting to us. They're going to have more detail than anything else. So, color right now is not as important, but it's more important than it was back here. And what I mean by that is it's easier to get busted up here in the front if you don't have a color that's believable or a color that's prominent, I guess is the word. If you kill all your darks now, it's going to look flat and it will be very, very, very noticeable. Very noticeable. But you can come back and add layers. Like if you got a color that you're just not real happy with, you can come in and touch that color and leave your other color there. Because trees grow that way. If you walk outside and look, you'll see trees that at the bottom have green leaves, and then as it starts working up, they'll start turning a yellowy, greenish, orange color. And it's just what trees do. I mean, I guess a part of living. Especially in the fall. Everything gets so pretty in the fall. You'll have touches of red here and there, and you'll have little lavender hues here and there. Everything's so pretty in the fall. But with that, right there, with that step, from there, all you got to do is you definitely want to put you some trunks in. You know, like come in here and just, you know, just pull your trunk down or two in your taller ones, and then turn your knife up and just scratch you in some little branches. Then back here, you know, come in here and give yourself some little twigs and sticks. All back here. Then all that's left is the part that everybody looks forward to doing, and that's putting your signature on it. You can. I use a paint eraser sometimes. Sometimes I'll use a color, but you can take that paint eraser, come in. I sign mine with an H for Harold. You can sign yours however you want. But once you're done, it's ready for a frame and a wall. Just like that. And I would like to thank y'all very much for joining me again. I've got a couple things I'm ordering that's going to help, hopefully, with the videoing. I will get the hang of this, I promise. I know I keep making excuses, but I am new at this. This editing and all of this takey stuff is new to me. I will get the hang of it, and when I do, I'll be able to paint longer videos, come back and tie it all together, and make everything cleaner, clean up a lot of the. I'm trying to do them a little faster, I guess is what I'm trying to say, to keep them from being 2 hours long. Because, at home, you can sit there and work on this as long as you want. And you can make your bushes look way better than that. I mean, I know you can. Again, any question, feel free to ask. Anything that you see that you think I might be able to help you with, feel free to ask. I will do all I can to help. That's why I'm here. I love doing it. I've said it 1,000 times. I do it to be happy. God bless y'all. Thank y'all again for being with me. We'll be doing another video hopefully tomorrow or sometime through the weekend. I got something very, very personal going on Saturday that I can't miss. I got to be there for that. It's a family situation. But I will get back and I will produce a few more videos and we'll have fun together. So thank y'all so much for joining me.